if anyone doesn't want to have their face on, just stop the video, okay? So again, welcome to my District 2 meeting. This is Hollywood, folks, so take two. My annual meeting that I have it virtually, by the way, due to popular demand. And I know Commander Desroches, my guest, who's still in police uniform, he's at his desk at about 6 in the morning, so I didn't want to make him do a 14-hour shift today. So I think having it on this way was much better. So as I was saying, Station 9, le poste de police 9 couvrait Côte Saint-Luc, Hampstead, Montréal-Ouest et Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. Et c'est avec grand plaisir que nous accueillons notre nouvelle commandante Stéphane Desroches, qui travaille au service de police de la ville de Montréal depuis 1997. Avant d'arriver au poste 9, il a occupé pendant 2 ans la poste de commandant d'une section corporative spéciale en sécurité routière. So traffic is one of his expertise. And I'm going to have Commander Desroches introduce himself. I'm going to ask him a few questions. Glenn is going to have a question to ask, and then I'll open the floor. We're very fortunate to have you with us, Commander Desroches. Bienvenue, welcome.
Well, good evening, everybody. And I'm really glad to be there tonight and meet all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Cohen, for inviting me. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be invited at your district meeting tonight. So I'm Commander Desroches, Stéphane Desroches. So I've been in the police force since 29 years. 1 year in La Prairie, and then what was called the SPCUM in 1997 with the entrance of the neighborhood police station at that moment. So basically my career was based on investigation. I did 8 years on patrol, and then I went to I did some investigation of all types. So a street gangs unit, organized crime, arson unit, intel, and in 2021, I was promoted as a commander. And like you said, Mr. Cohen, I did 2.5 years as a commander for section sécurité routière, so a road safety section. So it is one of my un point très important sur lequel j'insiste. I really insist at the station for the safety of the roads in Côte Saint-Luc, Hampstead, NDG, and Montréal-Ouest. So I'm asked my officers to be, but because what touches the regular citizen, if I may say, is the safety on the roads. It's not organized crime. And our preoccupation is to make sure that everybody is safe on the road.
Sorry, I have my unmuted. I wanted to ask you first, you came here right after October 7th. And yeah. I think our community has been very safe during that time. It's been a very difficult time for the Jewish community, particularly. You've been very active in meeting with the synagogues and meeting with community leaders, have you not?
Yes, indeed. I arrived and I was attribué au the neighborhood station 9 au PDQ 9 on October 2nd, and 5 days after the conflict was beginning, and it was not easy. It was not planned. My arrival at the station 9 was not planned like it was. I was planning it much more easier than that, to learn and come back to my first the roots of the police, which is la réponse aux appels d'urgence, le service de première ligne aux citoyens. The first line that when people need the police is the neighborhood, the police officers and patrol cars. And I had to come back to that, but I had also to really know the particularities of the Station 9, which is basically the Station 9 compte la plus grosse population de la communauté juive. Ce n'est de façon nord-américaine. Donc, it was unknown from me, and I was not aware of all the particularities of the community, the Jewish community, but I learned it very fast and I understood it very, very quickly. And obviously, my goal and the team of the Neighborhood Station 9 team is really to offer the best, a secure public space, safety for everybody, but we have to consider that the Jewish community is basically the Station 9. Everybody lives in Côte Saint-Luc and Amstead, basically, most of the people from the Jewish community. So in my staff, I have two officers that are comes from the Jewish community. So that helps for the other officer to know the reality of the community. So it really helps. But still, last fall was not easy. We were faced through a dramatic issue, a war, which is far from us, but still affect everybody in Montreal, in particular the Jewish community.
Well said, and thank you for everything you've done. Glenn Nashin, would you like to ask a question and say anything to, because I know with your VCOPs that you founded, you've been working with, you always work with the police. Glenn?
Thank you, Mike, and welcome also to Councillor Erdelyi. I think you missed his little his face there.
Okay, sorry, I missed
Councillor
Councillor Erdelyi. He'll be representing also a little bit later. Thank you, Glenn.
Councillor Erdelyi, amongst his many portfolios, also oversees the Volunteer Citizens on Patrol. So, Commander, it's a pleasure to meet you. If you want to learn about the history of Station 9, you can go onto my blog or on my Facebook page. I invite everyone to subscribe on my blog. Just Google Nashin Notes. And my involvement goes far back with emergency services, because when I started, the police were still operating ambulances. So that goes back quite a while. I served as a city council for 25 years, Commander, and was responsible for public safety and our liaison with police, fire, and ambulance during all those years. And I began the emergency medical services in 1991 and VCOP in 2006. VCOP, talk about that for a moment. It runs across North America, and in most of the US, practically all of the US, it's under the guise of the Sheriff's Department. In most of Canada, it runs out of RCMP detachments. So a little bit unique here, the only one of its kind in the Montreal region, really, and one of very few in Quebec. So I'd like to ask you, Commander, how you see the integration or the involvement of volunteers in what is not traditionally an area that the police get involved with here. By the way, amongst your two Jewish police officers, one of them started with VCOP. So she was a member of VCOP and eventually went over to 911 and dispatch. So she's very, very familiar with our services. So how do you see the integration of and using volunteers to raise up the level of safety and security in Côte Saint-Luc?
Well, you were talking about Jessica, I assume. So yeah, she's still at the Neighborhood Station 9. And answering your question, we need VCOPs. We need public security. We're obviously, you heard on the news, you heard my director Fadi Daguerre. We're struggling with an issue of hiring police officers right now. So regardless of the numbers, still we're not enough. We're not enough in Montreal. We're not enough. I don't have my full capacity of officers at the Neighborhood Station 9. I have to say the real things and be honest about it. That's why we need eyes and ears, VCOPs, public security, and I'm counting on you guys to help us, basically, without putting your safety in jeopardize yourself, but still the most eyes that we have that can report anything on the territory, I'll take it. I'll take it. And where there's a public security in Côte Saint-Luc. I'm in a close link with Philippe Chateauvert. Every day we talk, even during the weekends. Yesterday morning, we were talking about an event that took place on Castlewood Street. So something happened over there. If you want to know more about it, I will be able to talk to you about it. But still, we're in close contact with our partners, and I'm counting on our partners to work together and basically assure the safety of every resident of Côte Saint-Luc. And Côte Saint-Luc.
Yeah,
We're up to
that's
65 volunteers now, and I'll share with you and all of Mike's constituents that last month, the month of May, we had our highest turnout of attendance in our 17-year history. We had almost 600 hours of coverage, which is unprecedented for us. So it's a resource to use and to be used, and our members are very well trained to stay in their lane and to stay safe. And in that regard, we look forward to welcoming you to one of our meetings and to cooperating in any way that's possible to make sure that Côte Saint-Luc remains the safest corner on the island of Montreal, which it is and has been for a long, long time. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Yep. Thank you very much, Glenn. Toby Shulman has a question. I'll go to Toby. Go ahead, Toby.
Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us, Commander. I have a question. It has to do with the answering of the phone at Station 9. I've had occasion to have to call to get some information, and the phone rings and rings and rings, and then it drops. And there's no one who picks up. And it's very frustrating. If I call before 9, the message says we don't start answering the phone until 9. If I call after 9, as I said, it rings and rings and rings, and then it drops. I'm wondering if anybody else has said anything about this and what can be done about it.
I'm aware. I don't know when you called at the station, if it's been a while, but I'm aware of the situation. We had a problem with the line, and we also what you need to know is, you might not be aware, but neighborhood station 9 is the second busiest station at the counter of the SPVM. Of the 29 neighborhood station 9 is the second busiest on the island. So every day we might have, I try to have 2 agents at the counter, so they are able to answer the citizens' question that show up at the station, and also to pick up the line. But regardless of that, I'm aware that there has been a problem with the line. And recently, the other problem that we have is, and I have to faire une intervention to intervene with internet site, because they were referring calls from Outre-mer, overseas, at the station, which is not normal. And that was like it was not, I don't understand it, but still we managed to find the problem, the solution. It's been 2 months, and we settled that problem. So hopefully, if you call at the station between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m., somebody is gonna answer you. But you have to keep in mind that it's the second busiest station on the island. So sometimes they're not able to even pick up the phone, because I'm there at the station, and sometimes they might be 4 or 5 person at the counter, and they are only 2 officers when they are 2 officers at the counter.
I think that's a
Oh.
good answer, Toby. I don't think we could ask for a better answer than that.
No,
Commander,
but I have a follow-up question.
okay, quick one,
re-
Toby, please.
The reason that I've been calling is because I had filled out a report. I was the victim of a scam. And so I wanted to find out how things are doing. Has it proceeded and so on and so on. And the only answer that I get is that there are so many people being scammed. It might take months and months and months until they get to my case. You agree with that?
There's a lot of fraud. There's a lot of fraud. It's an issue for the SPVM, treating all these investigation, fraud, the scams. It's an issue. There's a lot of il y a ce qu'on appelle un backlog. Et c'est vraiment, j'ai pas tout le micro. I don't have every information about this fraud section, but I know that it's pretty long. The treatment of those complaints, it's long. I'm aware about that.
Okay, thank you.
Commander, I wanted to ask you, a lot of people are concerned about car theft. How rampant, is car theft a big problem in the Station 9 territory?
Well, it's a problem. It's a problem, pan-Canadien problem. It's all over Canada. So, but what you have to know is comparing to last year, there's 30% less car theft comparing to last year at the same moment right now. So it's still a problem. Because what happened is that police force did concentrate their efforts for against the drugs. So we did very well against drug dealers, and we put many effort against the drug dealing and drug dealers. And we forgot that what the opportunity for organized crime is that, okay, police are working on drugs. We're gonna find another way to make our money, and they turn to car theft. So basically, the what's going on right now is that organized crime are paying kids, 15 years old kids, 16 years old, 17 years old, or 20 years old gentlemen to steal. They might pay $2,000 to steal a Toyota RAV4, and it's very lucrative, and they're gonna sell it and reinvest the money in their operation. But for us to switch to car theft, it took a moment. Right now, we're dealing with it, and there's less car theft, but it took a moment. And also, when I was a patrol officer, when I was following a stolen car, and I was putting my gyrophare on my lights on, they were pulling over. The theft were pulling over. And they were dropping the car and running. Now, what they do is they try to bump police officer with the car, or they speed up. So we have to, it's a safety issue for everybody, the police officers and the citizens. So sometimes we have to take the decision not to go after a car theft. But it's still, we're working right now, and we're working with the l'École nationale de police to find ways to neutralize a stolen car that we might try to intercept on the road without causing a safety issue. But still, it's still there, but less since comparing to last year.
Okay, thank you. I have had some constituents who have had their car stolen, and one of them had the police get the car back from them, and it was two kids that were doing it. Arthur Citronbaum, go ahead, Arthur, you have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question regarding traffic safety or whatever. We live on, as you know, Mike, we both live in the Merrimack, the Meadows. And I've noticed over the past 10 years that I've been here, cars driving along Kildare, not stopping at the stop signs on Merrimack or on Rembrandt. They go through, they don't stop. Is there anything that you can do to, maybe put officers there, I don't know, in hiding? Because if they see the police, they're not going to do the wrong thing. So maybe something can be done about that.
I'm sorry, I'm going to put my mic. I'm going to come back to the questions of the line that was not working. In the chat, I've put an email address, which is the citizen address, email address. It's pdq9 at spvn.uc.ca. If you have an issue regarding a follow-up of an investigation, or either a complaint for road safety, or any question that you have, you can write to this address. Somebody is going to answer you. And basically, if there's a safety issue, road safety issue, at the station, we have 5 officers that we call them agents de quartier sécurité routière. So they are dedicated to take care of the complaints that are concerning road safety.
Just one follow-up is that happens to be near a school. That's why, which my daughter attends. So that's why I'm asking about that. There's a school right on the corner, the Jewish school.
But write to the citizen address, email address, and somebody is gonna go. Especially, well, right now the school is ending in a few days, but still, sadly, les contrevenants near the schools are the parents.
Yeah, that could be, sure.
And it's not, it could be. By my experience, it's the parents. Everybody is, the life is going fast right now. Everybody wants to, we don't want the kids to walk too much. We want to drop them off at the school. We have to pamper the kids, and most of the time we're in a hurry, and that's when we do infraction. And sometimes, and sometimes it's the parents, sadly, but still, if there's a safety issue, we're going to be there, and to change the behaviors of the drivers. Sadly, it takes a ticket.
In the 19 years, almost 19 years I've been a councillor, your police station has done operations where they have a car not so noticeable on Merrimack or on Sir Walter Scott. It's win-win. So definitely some return visits by the officers. It'll make good money for the SPVM as well. So you're right. And you know our community very well. Could you share with us the operation that took place in the last few days? Redwood, Castlewood area. We've been hearing about it. People had some misinformation. Can you clarify what it was that happened?
Yeah, what happened is on Saturday night, there has been a conflict between teenagers regarding money, and via the social media, they were, ils se défiaient. So they were defined. I don't know how to say it in English, but they were challenging. Everybody was challenging. Both parts were challenging themselves, and 12 kids with ski mask, clown mask, false weapon, false firearms, stick, knives. They showed up at the residence of what became the plaintiff, and but still, there has been a call. Somebody saw something. There has been a call at the 911. The neighborhood station team was very proactive and very reactive. They react quickly, and they were able to arrest 11 teenagers between 15s and 18 of age that were not living in Côte Saint-Luc. And really what I saw on social media is that it was direct towards the Jew community, and it is not the case. It's really not the case. I was in contact with the investigator in charge yesterday morning and asking questions. Is there a link with the conflict, Israelo-Palestinian conflict? It's not the case. It's not an heinous crime. It's really a conflict between teenagers. And everybody was arrested. They will go to court. No injuries, and all the weapons, if I may say, that they were having with them got seized. They will be destroyed, so everybody is safe.
Okay, well, that's very comforting to know. I feel very reassured listening to you. So before I let you go, because I'm going to let you go at this point, because we could talk to you all night, but we want to let you get to sleep so you can get up early tomorrow morning. But my one request is, I know you have the cadets that are there. I saw them driving down Marc Chagall, which is very comforting. And I'm wondering at all if it's possible, if any cadets could be assigned to Kildare and Cavendish, where we've been desperately trying to find a crossing guard for many years now. And it would be wonderful, even though it's temporary, during the rush hours, if we could have some cadets there, because I know cadets are used in other municipalities. So I'm not asking you to answer me now, but it's just a request. And if it's something that could be done, it would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. I took good note of it. It's right. Since 2 weeks, we have 4 police officers that are patrolling with bikes, and also since last week we have 6 cadets that are helping to get everybody safe and assure a presence in the parks. And every time there's a festivity or in Côte Saint-Luc, and I have to. Il faut que je partage les ressources entre 4 entités qui sont NDG, Côte Saint-Luc, Amstead et Montréal-Ouest, but I will do my best.
Then I wouldn't listen. If we had one day a week, that's one more day than we have right now. So perhaps a pilot project, but I'll leave that with you, and we could talk about that offline. So people have the address. I want to thank you very much for giving up your time tonight. And I want to say again, I don't think since Sylvain Bissonnette, all the directors have been wonderful, but I haven't had a commander since Sylvain Bissonnette that I felt so comfortable communicating with than you. And you're also, when Sylvain was there, he was just Côte Saint-Luc, Hampstead, Montreal West. You've also got NDG. So I want to encourage you to stay here as long as possible. Please don't retire. We really appreciate having you, and thank you.
Just thank you for your comment, Mr. Cohen. Just to let you know that on Friday 14, we're going to have a kiosk at the Cavendish Mall. C'est la journée internationale de la lutte contre la maltraitance des aînés. So our agent socio-communautaire will be there. My lieutenant will be there. I will be there too. So don't be shy. Come and talk to us. Get some information if you need it. So we'll be glad to meet with you.
We'll have many more viewers because I'm posting this on YouTube for people who didn't get to see the meeting live, and people will be able to come meet you in person on Friday. So again, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Have a nice evening.
All right. I noticed there was some other hands, but I think we're going to save the questions. So
at what time? Just ask him. Just ask him at what time. Friday is a long day.
You're right. You're right. It's between 9 o'clock and 12:30.
9 and 12:30. Okay,
Absolutely.
So get ready to meet Lucky Edna on Friday. You're going to meet a very special lady, Lucky Edna, one of my chief advisors on Rembrandt. Okay.
All right, come and see me. I'll be glad to meet you.
All right, she'll be okay. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Commander.
Have a nice evening. Thank you for having me again.
You too. You too. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. All right, so we're going to move on. Now, I don't know if Aaron Biton has joined the call. Aaron, are you there, Aaron? If not, I'm going to. I have some breaking news. If Aaron is there, he can he'll give you more, but I wanted to share this. A lot of people have been asking me about the corner of Cavendish and Kildare, the building at the corner of Cavendish and Kildare. And people will be very excited to know that on June the 19th, so that's just in more than a week, there's going to be a pediatric medical clinic opening up. It's been worked on for many, many months. They've spent a lot of money. And not only is it going to be a pediatric clinic, but Aaron Viton, who's the owner of the building, tells me that some of the doctors, it'll be 80% pediatric, but according to Aaron, and I'm waiting for more information, I'm going to interview some of the people for my blog, that there will be doctors that may be able to see adults. There will also be a blood test center there. I think it's going to be a private blood test center. Aaron is also working on trying to get a radiology clinic to open up, which would be just amazing if we could get our x-rays done around the corner. And a daycare is opening up. There will be a small pharmacy eventually, as this is apparently a very large pediatric clinic. So for those of you with children, I mean, when my daughter was that age, I would have given anything to have a pediatric clinic within walking distance from my house instead of a 45-minute drive in the morning to get to the urgency clinic. I remember those days. And down the line, a cafe with a terrace, which probably won't be ready for this summer, obviously. So if Aaron joins us, he could provide more details, but it's very, very exciting news. And if people have follow my blog, mycohen.ca, and as soon as I have detailed information, I will share it with you. I wanted to now ask, now Steven Erdelyi is there, and I know Steven had to go, and I have Councillor Dida Berku as well. I know some people are there to talk about the, want to hear about what's going on at the master plan with the Cavendish Mall. But Steven Erdelyi, our councillor responsible for many things, including our liaison with Hydro. The Hydro project is going to go forward. The new towers are probably going to be built in 2027. It affects a lot of people on this call, especially people on Merrimack, Rembrandt, Marc Chagall. And Steven's got some good news. For people living at the Meadows in Merrimack, the big tower that's at the very end, near the train tracks, right near Bialik, is going to be moved. It's going to no longer be there, and it's going to be moved onto Bialik territory. Steven, would you like to elaborate, please?
Yeah, I'll give, first of all, thanks. Thank you, Mike, for inviting me. Yeah, and I appreciate you letting me go now. I'm going to try to go to the Shiva of our Director of Public Works. Her mother passed away, so I'm going to try to go after I'm done here, but I'll give the background. So just to remind everyone, what you've seen over the last several years is more and more power failures in Côte Saint-Luc, and mostly attributed to the Hampstead substation. So if you ever look at the map of a power outage, and you see it's pretty much everything west of Décarie, north of Saint Jacques, and sort of south of the 40, that is basically the area that is served by what's actually called the Hampstead substation, but it's really the one in Côte Saint-Luc that's behind Mount Sinai. So what is going to be happening is that substation is going to be rebuilt, a new substation. It's going to be indoor. The current substation goes back to 1955. So in terms of ages of substation, it's quite old. But the biggest part that affects the residents of your district, of Mike's district, is that the line that's currently between the Meadows and Bialik is going to deviate and go behind Bialik, between Bialik and the train tracks, and go through the wooded area along the CP lines, along the CP yard. So it actually will bypass the whole section that's along the Meadows. It'll bypass as well the whole section that goes along Marc Chagall, that goes behind Brandeis and Krieghoff and so on. So that whole section will be bypassed. So what it means for Côte Saint-Luc is we're actually going from, there are currently 16 towers or 16 pylons in Côte Saint-Luc. We're actually going to go to 9. Now, it is not perfect. And I'll just share, in a perfect world, we would have gone underground. And this is something we had tried to fight. But at some point we realized, okay, well, it doesn't look like we're going to be successful in going underground, but at least if we can cut the number in half, or virtually in half, going from 16 to 9, that is a huge benefit to the residents of Côte Saint-Luc, and that is what we've been trying to do. And so where things are now is so Hydro-Québec is I guess a crown corporation. It's a government-owned corporation, but it still has to get approval, and it's going to what's called the BAP, the Bureau d'Audience Publique sur l'Environnement. So it's an environmental commission that has to review it. So they have submitted, and I was looking through the documents the other day. It's hundreds of pages in terms of they're looking at every aspect of the project, the trajectory of the line. They're looking at the trees that are underneath. They're looking at the wildlife, the water runoff, the history of Côte Saint-Luc. But basically, they have submitted a document to the BAP. The BAP will rule on it over the next few months and either approve or not, but most likely it will be approved. And then this project will be done in phases. So the first phase is going to be to build the new substation just beside the old substation. So keep in mind, we can't lose power in the interim. So they'll be building the new substations kind of behind Mount Sinai, between Mount Sinai and the existing substation, and or kind of near the tracks in that sort of tight area. And then what they will do is build this new line. They'll build a new line and dismantle the old line. And what I imagine one day, we'll go to bed at night and, power will be shut down for an hour or two, and they'll just switch it from the old line to the new line. And ultimately it'll mean more efficient energy in terms of hopefully less power failures. And it'll also be a benefit as more and more people in Côte Saint-Luc and throughout Quebec, throughout North America, are switching their heating from oil to electric, are switching to electric cars. So it'll make sure that our needs will be, met for years to come. So I'll pause and I'll take any questions.
I know that people at the Meadows have been greatly concerned, so I know for them, I will post this video of this meeting on the Meadows Facebook page where, the 129 units will be able to see this. They'll be very relieved. I want to thank you for all the work you've done behind the scenes on this very important initiative. It's been years. We started during the pandemic. We met for, regularly on Zoom. So does anyone have a question on the hydro project? Or Stephen explained it so well, I don't even have any questions.
So I'll just share one more point, just so just for full disclosure. So for residents, so again, there'll be less pylons in Côte Saint-Luc, but the new pylons will be much taller. So just so there's no surprises. The reason is they're increasing the voltage. So as you increase the voltage, it has to be higher off the ground just to make sure that there's no, let's say, electric arc. So God forbid someone can get electrocuted. So it has to be higher off the ground. So there'll be less pylons in Côte Saint-Luc, but the ones that will be there will be much higher, will be probably about twice as tall as the existing ones. However, they have designed a special pylon for us. So even though they're let's say they'll be about twice as tall, the footprint is about the same. They have special, I guess, new design now, especially since the ice storm of '98, where they designed them much better. So, to limit the chances of them collapsing. And if we think of the last ice storm we had, I guess it was Passover, it was April of 2023. There were power failures, but most of the power failures were on smaller lines, on the lines in the backyards and so on that went down. So I'll pause, and if there's no other questions, and I guess I'll just add it. Yeah, if anyone does think of something, you can always email me, serdelyi@cotesaintluc.org, if you think of anything in the next, next few days or few weeks.
Before he became head of school at Solomon Schechter Academy, Stephen was a math and science teacher. So he's the right man for the job to be our point man on hydro. That's for sure. So I think we're good, Stephen, on that. You gave a much more thorough. I appreciate you giving the time. Extend our sympathies to Beatrice Newman, our Director of Public Works, whose mom, my mom Elaine, is on the call, and she did a story on Beatrice Newman's mom, who was a Holocaust survivor, and her husband a number of years ago. She died. She was about 101 years old, but she had quite a life and quite a story. You could read her obituary on Paperman. Okay, thank you very much, Stephen. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna move on now. Everyone has been asking me, and I don't know, I went door to door yesterday, on Park Place and saw some of the people. They all want to know what's happening with the Quartier Cavendish. Well, Dida Berku will explain in a moment. She is going to give you a very good overview of the master plan and explain what the master plan is. But really, the master plan for us, for people in District 2, the three main shopping centers, which includes Quartier Cavendish, of course, Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Center to Carey Square, they're going to be a major component. And I can't give you any details right now about Quartier Cavendish because that will come on August the 12th. But people living near there need to know that there's going to be a very, very significant opportunity for them to build a lot of high rises. And we'll be eager to see what they have to say. And Dida has a very important opinion of that. So on Wednesday, July 10th, there's going to be an information session about our master plan at City Hall. On Monday, August 12th, there's all the details will be available that night. And that's when the consultation will begin. And it'll go until we vote on September 16th on the proposed zoning. So there's a lot to say, but I'm going to let Dida give a brief presentation to you. I think you will find it fascinating on what's going to happen with the master plan. And Dida, I've shared my screen, so go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate that. I appreciate talking to your residents. And I certainly appreciated the two previous speakers, the Commander and Stephen and Glenn, of course. So you also share my screen. Is that what you're saying? If I want to?
You can share because I've allowed sharing of the screen. So go ahead. You can do it.
Okay, so I'm not going to share right this minute, but I will share in a moment. Okay. So basically what I want to say is that and can you see me? Hello? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. So basically what I want to say is that the master plan is a legal obligation. It is the long-term planning document which guides the future development of the city. And if there's one thing that we've learned in the past few years through COVID and now through this awful Gaza-Israel war, is that there's no such thing as status quo. Things change, and sometimes they can change for the worse. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because we have to prepare for the future, and it's best when we plan and design our future the way we want it, okay? So the last master plan was adopted in 2000. We were still in the mega city, and we really need to update it. It's a legal obligation. Furthermore, the laws and framework are all being updated. The CMM, which is the governing body of the 82 cities that are on the North Shore, South Shore, and on the island of Montreal, is adopting a new plan called the PMAD. The City of Montreal is adopting a new plan, also a new urban plan, to conform to the PMAD and to the Quebec government rules, which they've adopted, which are the rules are obliging municipalities to meet new standards of density for housing. That is, we need to build more housing and in smaller, let's say, more confined areas, because we need to build on island. And the reason that we need to do this is that we've got major challenges, and Côte Saint-Luc has the same challenges as all the other cities. So I'm just going to share the list that I prepared this morning. Let me see if I can do that. Where are you? How do I share? Sorry. Share. There you go. Okay. So I'm going to share this list. Okay, so there's a housing crisis, both in availability and affordability in the face of increased population and increased demand for a variety of housing types. So people want to live in townhouses, they want to live in condos, they want to live in single family, etc. We also need connectivity in the city with our neighboring municipalities. So we need new transport and mobility options. That includes Cavendish and a train station, and that is part of our plan. We need access to local commercial services as small businesses are shutting down. We know this. We need to sustain and maintain the quality of our city services that includes paying for the library, the snow clearing, the arenas, the swimming pools, without dramatically increasing taxes. We need to respond to climate change and become more resilient. That means maintaining our green space and canopy and upgrading our water and sewer and road infrastructure. We need to respond to the needs of our major stakeholders. In the case of Côte Saint-Luc, we only have 3 big malls. Okay, that's all we have. We have the railway and we have 3 big malls. And these malls are no longer sustainable due to the decline in retail and the advent of online shopping. Their properties are highly underused, inefficient, and don't generate the revenues of the past, nor do they bring in the taxes that they used to. I'm trying to explain basically why we need to do all this. Their evaluations are actually going down, which is putting a strain on you, the taxpayers, because if they pay less, then the rest of us taxpayers will have to pay more. That's a very strong argument right there. And these are all the reasons why we need to redo our master plan. We must redevelop the 3 malls and the town center, which is the heart of the city. So I'm just going to scroll down. I didn't prepare an actual PowerPoint, as these are just notes, but I'm just going to prepare. So in the heart of the city happens to be the Cavendish Mall, right? So we're going to do the master plan, and then we're also doing what we call the special planning program. I only have 4 slides, so almost there. The special planning program is a detailed component of a municipality's broader planning program. And I'm just going to read you the fine print. The SPP presents a distinctive vision, guidelines, strategies for the town center of Côte Saint-Luc. Its aim is to create an attractive, cohesive town center that encompasses the Quartier Cavendish, the City Hall, the library complex, and the Trudeau Park. So basically you have to look, you kind of zoom out from Cavendish Mall and zoom out and see the whole area as the town center and how everything is going to be interconnected. The SPP for the town center is a key component of the city's overall planning program. Its implementation will significantly contribute to the broader planning vision of the city. You are, fortunately, in the heart of Côte Saint-Luc. Right now, this is what we've got. Okay, it's really not very nice. And you've got, you know, half the mall that used to be in a huge parking lot. It's a heat island. It's not very attractive. And as I explained to you, it's not viable. The developer, the promoters, the owners are like all other mall owners across North America. And we all travel and we all know the realities. So over the coming months, starting on July 10th, then again on August 12th, and then again on September 16th, the city will lay out the vision we have for the future of the city. And it'll take the time it takes. We're not, you know, this is our schedule right now, but we will definitely take the time to listen to the residents because we've already done 1.5 years of consultations. I don't know if you recall, but we were in consultation starting in September 2022. So it's going to be 2 years in September 2024. We did consultations September 2022, then we did online surveys, then we did stakeholder meetings, and we did all kinds of activities. We had many, many consultations. We will present the master plan, the special planning program for the town center, including Cavendish Mall. There's new zoning bylaws, all the new rules that will be adopted to make way for these new developments, not only in the malls, but along the commercial corridors like Westminster and Caldwell. Don't forget, it's a master plan for the entire city, not just for Cavendish Mall. We'll also introduce new rules regarding home-based businesses and other changes that'll make it easier for homeowners to renew the housing stock. And here I'm showing you the limits of what we consider to be the town center. So I just mentioned it to you. It goes from Trudeau all the way to the, I don't even see this myself. Yeah, basically here's the Cavendish Mall in the middle. This is the City Hall here, if you can see my cursor. So it goes basically from Kildare all the way to past Mackle, right? This is past this is Kildare, this is Mackle, this is Trudeau Park. So that's part of the town hall of this the center of the city. And here is the final vision statement. Côte Saint-Luc's town center is a vibrant, dynamic, mixed-use area with lively and inviting public spaces, thriving commerce, which fosters community, promotes well-being and resilience, and provides residents with viable housing and mobility options. If we want to increase the housing stock of all types, from rental apartments to condos, from affordable to high-end luxury, we will need to think about a city where we can all live and play and even work, and a city where, as they say in French, il fait bon vivre. We all travel, we all know what a lively town center looks like, and in order to achieve it, you need a good recipe, you need families living in good housing, you need the parks and public spaces that will allow our residents to thrive and maintain good quality of life at a reasonable price that is a fair tax rate. And for that, we need more revenue, and that's the winning formula. So that's my pitch. I hope that, where are you? Okay, I've lost my, there. That's basically the big picture. And slowly we'll unravel, but I can tell you one thing, that all the consultations that we've done to date have led to this moment, because we did do full consultations starting back in September 2022 and in October and all the way up to December 2022 on all aspects of this master plan. What people wanted, they wanted more, more activities, they wanted more space, public space, they wanted better access to, food and entertainment, things like that. And this definitely is what we're focusing on, what the residents have told us.
Yeah, thank you for that extraordinary presentation. And again, it's being recorded, so a lot of people will benefit. That's probably one of the most comprehensive summaries to make sense of it. Again, I haven't decided on where I'm going with this because I haven't heard my constituents. And I don't know if anyone from Park Place or the Avenue has joined the meeting tonight. If not, they'll be getting this by email, but I know they were very eager to learn, and they're going to be mostly impacted by this. Henri de Balzac as well, a little bit. So does anyone have any questions on the master plan?
Look, just to answer that, Mike, I know you're very, very sensitive to the individual, reactions of, pockets of your district. Let's, call it the way it is. But we went through the redevelopment of the Cavendish Mall, at least half of it, and we survived, right? We got through it, and is it perfect? No, but it's better than it was before. And I think that what we're going to go through is definitely going to be worth it, because the status quo is not an option. There's no way that we can just leave things the way they are. So that's something
you have
that
to see,
has to understand.
the people on Park Place and the people on the Avenue specifically, and the neighboring streets are going to have to be involved in learning about this, because if they're not going to participate, we need their feedback. But I'll be going door to door as well in that area, just to make sure they know about it and that they come to the meeting in August and September and during the consultation, and we hear what they have to say about it. Right. And we also will hopefully hear from the people from the owners of the Quartier Cavendish, and get their perspective.
Because you want to live in a city that's viable and sustainable. I mean, we're just definitely going to have to. We cannot leave the malls the way they are. There's no two ways about it. We all travel around the world. We all see what's going on. Any city you go to, you see that there's more and more density, and density brings more activity and more options for people as well. So more families, more activities, more commercial activity, and exactly what you were just explaining about what's going to happen at the corner of Cavendish and Kildare with the cafe and this and that. When you have, more density, and when you have the revenues that are generated by it, the city is going to be able to offer more and more services. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dida. I appreciate the thing. And of course, people can, talk to me about this anytime. I'm always available. Okay, so I think we're gonna move on. The other items are very short, and then there could be any general questions that people have. I know people have been asking me. We announced that we're going to name a park place after Alexander Look. He was one of the a former resident of Côte Saint-Luc, a former student at JPPS Bialik, and he was one of the victims of the massacre on October 7th in Israel from Hamas. And we want to name a park area after him and all the victims of October 7th. We're looking at an area between Bialik and JPPS, but that has not been finalized yet because there are some issues with Hydro right now, and Bialik's property. So we're open. That's one of the things, but we definitely hope to do something by the end of the summer. So stay tuned. As for Rembrandt Park and the queen of Rembrandt Park, Lucky Edna's there. I had a brief call today with Public Works. Lucky Edna, I'm gonna speak to them again more later in the week. And I'll talk to you privately about some of what they're going to be doing. But there's certain issues, such as people know living on Merrimack that there's one paveway entrance that is constantly flooding when there's water, the one that's closer to Rembrandt. So what they've decided to do is they're going to cover it completely with grass. People will still be able to walk if they wish, but they don't believe that they're going to be able. They've been trying to repair it for years, so they're going to make it look a lot more presentable. There's a lot of other repairs that are going to be going on with engineering in the next couple of weeks at the park, and it's just there's over 30 parks in Côte Saint-Luc, and the one that's most important to me is the one in my district. But they're basically now increasing their staff at all the parks, including our park, in terms of going there every day and making sure that it's clean and the water fountains aren't clogged with sand, because a lot of parents go and the kids go to the sandbox, they pour the sand in the water fountain, and the Public Works can't be there every hour. So just rest assured that we're going to be looking at that. The steps near the chalet, very dangerous. So we put some barriers there so people don't go on them. I mean, that's going to have to be a long-term project as to possibly replacing those steps or removing them. But right now, we just want to make sure it's safe. And they have moved around the picnic tables. They've done it to the best of their ability to try to make it as equitable as possible. And they are replacing, by the way, one of the water fountains. There's also a petanque area that's not being used for the last couple of years. That's going to be put. There's going to be grass put over there as well. So again, that's the park that's near my house. I go and certainly as the weather's nice, I walk there several times a week. Once I'm off for my vacation, I'll be probably walking 7 days a week. I walk there, I talk to people, I get their feedback. I'm constantly speaking to Public Works and Engineering. So let's hope for a good summer in that area. So at this point, I would open does anyone have any questions on anything else before we adjourn? Arthur Citronbaum, go ahead, Arthur.
Yeah, Mike, they were supposed to be doing some work on Rembrandt at one point back in March.
Yes, for Hydro.
Right, and then it was supposed to be May, and nothing. I'm just wondering whether
they've already started the preliminary work, not the digging yet.
Oh,
okay. But they've been on site. They're doing their measurements. They're doing their plans, and unfortunately, it's going to be there soon, and it's going to be a couple of months where Rembrandt's going to be very difficult to navigate. But it's an underground chamber that has to be fixed, and it's going to be a massive undertaking.
Okay.
So it was delayed for a variety of reasons, but it's going to be coming very soon.
Okay.
But a good question, Arthur. It's a good question. Yeah. All right. Any other questions on any other subject? If not, again, I respond to every single email, mcohen@cotesaintluc.org. Don't be shy. Email me. You will get a response. If you'll get a telephone call, if need be. And there's lots of exciting news. And again, I think we heard a lot. So I will be making a copy of this. So for those of you who are in specific condo buildings, I'd encourage you when I do have the video up, I will be posting it on my mikecohen.ca. I'll also post it on my Facebook page. So please share it. And so more people can see it. And Lottie Godfrey, you have a question. Go ahead, Lottie. Lottie, you have a question? Go ahead. Okay, Lottie, you're probably on mute. Before Lottie
You.
speaks.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead, Lottie.
Okay. You had invited us to attend this meeting because you had some news about the 5 apartment buildings
Yeah,
that have.
yeah, you know what?
sold.
You're right. I did. You're right. I'm remiss in giving an update to you, and I will. So thank you, Lottie, for saying that. So as people may be aware from reading the newspaper and reading my blog, the 5 buildings, 2 on Kildare and 3 on Sir Walter Scott, were purchased by another developer several months ago. There was fear of renoviction. Councillor Berku, who is a tenants' right lawyer by profession, stepped in, and Debbie is on the call right now. She's been very, very active in mobilizing. We have our building inspector who has hundreds of buildings and nonstop array of stops to make. He's zeroed in and put a target on those buildings. And I've been in touch with the representative for the owners because we don't know officially who the actual owner is. We only know the representative. So I've spoken on a regular basis to Terry, who's the representative for the owners. I think they understand we mean business. I've been called by individual tenants on issues that are not tenants, they're tenants-landlord relations, but I've still, given the circumstances, I've stepped in and assisted people getting plumbers to their building and getting people to go in. And on Friday, Lottie, I met with Mr. Avi and Mr. David. These are the young men who are the property managers. And I met with them in person. They both happen to live in District 2. And I've now arranged a communication with the 2 of them so that I can directly communicate with them if if people feel they're not getting responded to. Right now, the word is that those 5 buildings are going to be sold again to a professional operator, meaning somebody who has been operating buildings, which should put tenants' rights, tenants at much more at ease. And what I explained to Mr. Avi and Mr. David was that if the building is up for sale and you're trying to sell it, it doesn't look very attractive when the grass hasn't been cut, if the elevators aren't working, if they're not keeping up the building properly. So I think they understand that from a marketing standpoint. I don't think there's going to be any attempt at renoviction. We have a law now that we passed last fall, led by Councillor Berku. And the key thing is that there is Debbie, who's created a tenants' rights group. There's a lawyer who's been hired and has been a consultant to the group. We had a workshop. So Lottie, like anyone else, if there's a problem, I can be emailed and I will respond. And I am giving special treatment, if you will, to those 5 buildings, given the circumstances and given how nervous everybody is. Do you have any question to follow up on what I just said?
No, I would just like to know if the buildings are really going to be sold to somebody who is serious.
Listen, this is what I've been told.
Okay.
I believe that whoever is the owners, I don't believe that it's going very well for them. I believe that there's a lot of complaints and a lot of concerns, and are they properly prepared to manage these 5 buildings? So I've been told by Terry that the buildings are going to be sold. There's no timeline, but it appears to be. I don't think anybody has anything to worry about. And as I said, thanks to Councillor Berku assisting me, we put an enormous amount of pressure, and we have our eye is on these buildings very closely. So
Okay.
I think things are good, but the main thing is to report anything of concern to me. Debbie, are you still on the call? I don't know if Debbie's still on the call, but I'm looking.
I see her on my screen, but
Okay.
okay, you've answered my my question, and
Okay.
Hopefully in the end things will turn out well.
Well, I hope so. And so far, I think that people are suspicious of these owners, and therefore they're sounding the alarm more often than most buildings would, but that's understandable. Everybody wants to feel safe where they live.
Right.
But in my 19 years, I don't think I've gotten to know people in those buildings as well as I have in the last few months. So, and now I'm walking, I walk on Sir Walter Scott every walk. And every time I see someone going in and out of the building, I stop, I ask who they are. I ask them if everything's going okay. And I have to say, most people I've met are doing okay. That's most people I'm talking to, they indicate things are going okay. But they know
Okay.
that they can call me, and you can call me
Okay.
too.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Lottie. I appreciate
Okay.
it. So
Okay.
so yes, and that was when I said questions, the questions could be on anything, and that was one of them. I wanted people in those buildings to come on to this meeting and watch it on YouTube when I put it on, because I want them to know that there's a forum available for
Okay.
them to register their complaints. So okay, so I think I don't see any other hands up. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight, and I appreciate it. And I'm only an email or phone call away via City Hall. So everybody have a great night, and thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you,
Chag
Dida.
Sameach.
Thank you.
Chag Sameach to all of you.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you, Sylvia from Merrimack. All right.
Okay.